after running into the yard with a vehicle of the people he's using racial slurs against. It's amazing. Here's a video.
Not getting in neutral. I just asked him, can I please go in my car and put it in neutral? And don't move my car. I'll have another tow company come and I'm a pay charge.
No.
I don't care. You're gonna get a disorderly conduct. Give me the ticket. Go back in the house then. You can't be quiet. Exactly. Knock it off. Knock it off. I'm trying to talk to you. Knock it off. Hey, get quiet with you.
I can issue him a citation for disorderly conduct, okay? Would you want that? Yeah? Okay. You want to send that to me if you can?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin has a racist domestic terrorist named Joseph Wise, and Milwaukee Police Department refused to hold him accountable for his terroristic actions. This is why it's imperative for black men to come together and build your own community that you do your own security on, because as you see, the police will not protect your women. And it's clear as day on here. This white man drove the car through this woman's house. Rather than being apologetic, he sprouted racist statements towards her, demanded she did not move his car, and the most they could offer him was a disorderly conduct. But if you was black, they would have cuffed you on the spot and they would have arrested you. So understand that $242 million police budget is only to incarcerate you as black people. It is to apply the 13th Amendment to you. Let's be clear about that.
The car on his property, drove through her fence, and he screamed racial slurs at her. You're looking at the damage. Look at that. It goes to her property, damages her property, and he screams racial slurs at her. There's more. The police arrived. They gave Mr. Wise a disorderly conduct violation for his language, arrested him, and issued a resisting citation for resisting the arrest. Good.
The privilege of white people is extreme. You have to understand, this European received a ticket for disorderly conduct and resisting arrest, but he was never arrested. That was the max they could do to this white man. Now she was granted a 4-year restraining order against the white man, but he continued this negative behavior, and there still has not been no consequences. Police still failed to hold this man accountable. So you have to ask yourself, are we looking at the next racist mass shooter?
I'll put it with the ticket.
Cops should have arrested him. Let me give you the background to this story. Put up the picture of the couple who lives at the home, okay? A black woman in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, had her property damaged, had to endure racial slurs after the neighbor damaged her property. He was basically saying they're just N-words, as if that means he can just destroy their property, but he chooses. Rhonda Ronsman, a professional public speaker and executive administrative coordinator, told us that she'd been having regular issues with her neighbor. His name is Mr. Joseph Wise. The situation peaked
See, placing all in the context, they had prior issues with this guy. They had already been to court to file a restraining order. The guy had already previously said that he wanted to tear her fence down, which she built because of an issue he had created. So police failing to hold this guy accountable for his actions is more indication of why black people have to live amongst ourselves and have to police our own community. You're worried about crime. You're worried about crime because you understand that Europeans economically castrate your community and you're not willing to stand up against that. You're not willing to stand up for the lack of job opportunities in your community. See, but you'll vote Democrat all the time and act as if they're doing something for you, but nobody has created jobs and opportunities, so that's why you're scared to live around your own people. So you go live amongst them and be treated this way. This man was allowed to destroy this woman's property.
For them, Mrs. Rosman was granted a 4-year restraining order against Mr. Wise. Good for the judge. And since then, she claims he has still harassed the family. Okay? Now I'm about to show you a video provided to Indisputable multiple times in front of her home. He does this. Here it is.
This is evident of his mental instability. The fact that he continued to do this form of harassment should have violated his restraining order, and they should be seeking to disarm this white man. But see, they allow white supremacist terrorists to thrive in this country. They allow these white supremacists to arm themselves, and there's no way to protect this black woman in that community. And evidently her husband has not dealt with it, but she's married to a white man. But evidently he has not dealt with it either. Because eventually you can only take so much of this.
Mrs. Rosman told Indisputable, quote, last year, a man by the name of Joseph Wise moved in with his family. He began driving on our property and causing damage to our landscape and our backyard. We decided to build a fence. He was threatening to other neighbors to knock down the N-words fence. I should also mention he had a Confederate flag as a license plate, and he has one tattooed on his body. On July 30th, 2022, he followed through on his threat and drove a vehicle into our fence and crashed into our home. I obtained a 4-year restraining order against him in October of last year, but he continues to terrorize both me and my husband.
I have an issue with that last statement. He continues to terrorize her husband. How? Man to man, how do he terrorize your husband? You saying your husband has not stood up to him because of the power of white supremacy is protecting this guy and preventing your husband from protecting his family? This is why I'm asking black people to move in your own communities. This is why I'm asking black men to unify. Because if you up against this situation and you have to take the matters in your own hands, then you're gonna have to deal with the whole weight of America's judicial system on your own. Building your own communities give you some form of installation from this type of behavior. This is why it's imperative for 50 black men to come together, put together $500 a piece. That's $25,000. We form us a real estate investment trust. Milwaukee doing 5 properties for $25,000. We grab those properties, we fix them up, we own them. We do 4-hour security per week on our properties. We do cleanups. We create opportunities in our communities. We protect our community. That's real manhood. Leaving yourself vulnerable and leaving your family subjective to this type of behavior is not manhood. Black man, Milwaukee, stand up.
So we reached out to Mr. Joseph Wise for comment, reached out to him, who told us it was an accident. It was unintentional, he said, and that he was seeking or had obtained a restraining order against Mrs. Rosman. Well, we said, listen, if you provide us proof of that, we will provide it to the viewers. He never provided proof after we reached out again multiple times. So let me tell you something, Mr. Wise, I think you're a liar. I think you're a liar. I believe you're racist.
And that's the issue with these and want to claim victim when you confront them man to man. This is why we have to separate from these uncivilized demons.
I think you're a piece of scum, okay? I think you should leave these people alone. I think you're going to end up in prison, sir, if you continue this tactic. Now, you may have been taught by your parents that this is proper action in order to get rid of someone in the community, make them move away from you. Sir, it's 2023. Ain't nobody going anywhere but you.
Strong black community. We build a strong black community, then you fight for that. You don't fight to be amongst people who despise you. You don't fight to be amongst people who hate you. It is ridiculous. You will never have a community that form in that way. You'll never be happy. We have to build the community we desire. Man up.